What is the secret to become a concert pianist?
Federico Colli.
When you have a dream, you need to reach with all your strength. You must have a self-discipline at 100%. I always consider a bullshit when a musician goes to the competition and try not to win the first prize. My friends in the hall, after my performance, told me one member of the jury stand up from his chair and started to do this.
So you knew this after the semi-final. How did you digest this emotion to the final? Because you played so well in the final.
I was shocked, but they said, okay, neither God can please to everybody. I was happy about my performance, and that's very important.
How does it feel to be a Leeds winner? Did it change your lifestyle completely?
So much responsibility after the Leeds Piano Competition. When I won, the chairman of the piano competition, Dame Fanny Waterman, came to me and she told me, I still remember clearly, Federico, from now to the end of your life, your judgment is not the jury panel, but is God.
Every musician has a dream. Performing on the stage, winning the competition, being the shining star and change the world. But what is stopping you from turning your dreams into the reality? Failure, frustration, depression, self-denying, whatever is making you feel that you don't deserve or can't make it there. What you need is the key. My name is Gan Lee, the founder and host of TrueArtTalk. Each session, I meet up successful artists, speak and discover their methods and secrets to success, showing you what they have been through and how they found their keys to change their destinies. Now, are you ready? Let's begin.
Federico Colli, you have been described as the pianist who plays with a highly imaginative and philosophical interpretations. You came to prominence after winning the Salzburg Mozart Competition in 2011 and the gold medal at the Leeds International Piano Competition in 2012. Since then, you have been performing at famous theaters with renowned orchestras, famous conductors, and for prestigious festivals in all different parts in the world. You have been sharing stages with other famous artists, including Martha Argerich. You are also the cover star for all sorts of music magazines. His beautifully light touch and lyrical grace make the music shine, says the Daily Telegraph. There's no doubt Federico Colli is one of the more original thinkers of his generation, says Gramophone. You have obtained a great success from the audience and critics. Welcome to TrueArtTalk, Federico Colli.
Thank you. Pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for your invitation.
As you have once mentioned that in the interview, you are the black sheep from your family. Your father is a doctor, your mother a biologist, and your sister is doing chemistry. Many people believe that if you want to do music great, you must come from a music background. But obviously you are doing fantastic in music. What is your opinion about this? Did you explore science when you were a kid? Did you not like science and prefer music?
Yeah, I can talk about my experience because I know many of my colleagues or my friends grow up into a musician family. So parents are musicians. So, but that's not my case because actually you said well, my father is working in a hospital, and especially during this emergency period, a very terrible period, he always worked in the first row together with the illness in order to contrast this virus. He works he's a technician in a laboratory in the main hospital in my city in Brescia. My mommy is a biologist. And my sister, well, I used to say that she is a chemistry, but now I understand better what he really does in life, and he is a biomedical engineer.
Oh, okay.
So very, very special. That's my family. I grew up into this very rationalistic and scientific approach to the reality. But I must say that my family never pushed me to find any specific path, let's say, or passion. I always felt so much freedom in finding my way to express my personality, my soul. And it was completely clear since I was very, very extremely young, when I was 2 years old, 3 years old, that music, the rhythm, the sounds were something extremely close to my soul. And I remember I was 3 years old, and I spent my summer with my grandparents in Liguria, so by the sea, in a very beautiful region of north of Italy. And I was alone with my grandparents, and I received a call from my mommy who said, "Federico, would you like to start to play piano, to study music?" And I didn't know nothing about piano. I didn't know nothing about what does it mean to study music. But I always said, and I immediately said yes. And I was over the moon. I mean, it was the most, I didn't remember, but my grandparents told me that I was the happiest person in the world. So it was something, the music came to me and through my family very natural, in a very natural way. I started to play piano and to approach the music like a game. I was a very happy young person, a happy child, and I'd love to play football, to go bike, and also to play piano. It was something that I always loved too. And something changed when I was 8 years old, and I changed teacher. So I started to follow the lesson of Sergio Marengoni, who was a principal piano teacher in the Milan Conservatory. Obviously, I studied in a private way in my city in Brescia, because I was too young to travel from my city to Milan, even this.
Yes, I was going to ask you, did you start a music academy from the very beginning, or you started with regular school first and then you went to Milan?
Well, in Italy, it's quite tricky, because we have the school, normal school, where you are able to study mathematics, history, literature, and religion, and all this kind of thing, history, the geography. And then you have some special school, academies or conservatory just for music. So you are, the normal school is compulsory until at least until 18 years old, if I remember well. But music academy is something separate. So I continued to study my normal school until my diploma when I was 18 years old. But I started in parallel my music education. And well, I started as a game. So in a group lessons, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I took some group lessons. But happened that we started in 10, something like this, 10 children, and year by year, the group was always less, and I remained the only one.
You remain the only one.
The only one in the group, yeah. When I was, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old, I remember the only one. So the teacher, my first teacher, Maestra Anita Battioni, she was great for the children. She was absolutely great to create this first approach to the music. Nothing theoretical, nothing you have to practice solfeggio, doing the into with the metronome, nothing like this. It was like a game. I had my score, I had to paint, on top of the notes, some fruits or some animals. It was really like a game, and I'm so grateful to have this beautiful teacher in my life. But happened that I remained the only one, and that teacher, Anita Battioni, told me, what's happened, Federico? Music is something that you have a passion for the music, you really want to do something more intense in terms of education. And I said yes, but saying yes is a typical line of my character. I am very curious, and it's very rare that I say no to something. I just say yes because I'm fascinated to life, I'm fascinated to discover things in life, and I always say yes, even if I don't know what really is what I'm saying yes, but I say yes, let's try, let's see, I'm curious, I want to know, I want to discover. So when I was 8 years old, I said yes, I wanted music remain as my big passion, as my point, my central point. And I started to study with Sergio Marangoni, as I said, but not in Milan Conservatory. I always studied privately.
To this point, because you started privately, I assume you still have to do school homework. And for example, do you have math homework or other subject homework? It must. Does it take you a lot of time to do other homework from the regular school? And how much time can you find to do the piano?
So yes, I had to combine, I had to find a balance. And I must say that especially when you are so young as I was, the family is extremely important. And even if my family gave to me so much freedom to express myself, my family always gave to me the sense of a responsibility. So the sense that if you take something in your life, is a gift, and you must be responsible in front of it. So when I choose to follow in depth the music when I was 8 years old, my family was happy, of course. My parents were happy, but they told me, okay, you must be responsible. So you find in us a help in order to organize your life, organize your time, but you must be responsible. You have not just normal school. You have normal school plus music. And you must be responsible in front of the normal school and in front of music. So I always found very helpful this advice from my family, and they helped me a lot. I used to stay at school from 8 o'clock in the morning until 1 p.m. And then I returned home. I had a quick lunch. I had a nap because siesta is important in Italian culture. So I had a siesta, a little nap, and then I started to play piano. And at the end of the day, around 7 o'clock, just before dinner, I studied and I made my homework from the school. 99% of my daily routine continued also after dinner. So I had a dinner, a proper dinner, but at 9 o'clock until 10, 10:30, I used to study or my homework or the piano.
What you said just now was very, very interesting, because in China, I mean, lots of the pianists, they also have to do, I guess it's the same situation with Italy. You have compulsory school to attend. They have to learn all sorts of different subjects. And then they have to find time. I mean, their homework is even tougher. I don't know, maybe in Italy now it's getting more tougher with homework as well. So they have to squeeze their time to practice about 2 hours or 3 hours a day, which is very frustrating, sometimes very tired. But in your case, maybe you always find it pleasure because you said you loved the piano. It's like a game to you. So more or less it became like a relief, isn't it?
It is. But in my opinion, I found very helpful, but I can find now that practicing all the topics in the normal school, I now found that it is a treasure, a real treasure.
How did that help you?
My first approach with the first Russian teacher, that it happened to my life when I was 16 years old. It was Konstantin Bogino. And I remember the first approach with Konstantin Bogino, the first lesson actually. Let's speak about the first lesson. It was around the Prokofiev's seventh sonatas. And I arrived to the lesson with my score, and I put in my score on the desk, and I just wanted to start to play. And Maestro Bogino asked me, Federico, are you able to play chess? And I was so surprised, and I say, no, I'm able to play football. I'm able to cook pasta, but not play chess. And he replied to me, how can you play the seventh sonata by Prokofiev if you are not able to play chess? And I was so shocked. I didn't understand. Now I understand that he told me that sentence because in order to play well, it is not necessary, it is not enough to be able to play well. It's not enough. You need something else. You need something else. Practicing in front of piano is very necessary, of course, is very important, but it's not enough. In order to create an interpretation, a unique interpretation, a deep interpretation, you need to expand your mind, to have an open mind, and to reach this point, the culture is absolutely necessary. The culture is absolutely necessary. So you need to know literature. You need to know the history of the art of the painting. You need to know the history of the religion. You need to know the philosophy. And then when you have all this culture, you can understand better than the other the music that you are trying to interpret. So for this reason, I now find all the parallel study that I made during my education, my music education, I found now that it is a real treasure. And I suggest all the young musicians, pianists, and all the young musicians, don't focus 100% of your energy to your instrument. Be curious from all the beauty that can surround your soul. You can find inspiration not only practicing 10 hours per day, repeating one passage. You can find inspiration in reading a German essay, reading the Buddenbrook, focusing your attention in the history of the ancient Greek, for example. You can find incredible inspiration from that topics as well.
Right. First, please accept our greatest respect to your father, especially during this special period. I mean, he's saving us all, and we're very respectful for what he did to us. Did you think that their attitude of working inspired you in your musical studies? I mean, do you get to see, how do they treat their work? I mean, let's say if they treat work very seriously and with the huge discipline, and when you are a child and you've seen that, so that's influencing your musical study as well. Do you think that's kind of impactful and influential?
Probably yes, especially from the family of my father. I must say that my grandfather from the my grandparents from the side of my father were extremely important for me. Now they are all passed away, but I was so close to them, and especially their part of my family. The discipline was a magnet into their soul. The discipline. I mean, when you are in front of a goal, you need to be responsible, and you need to reach this goal. When you have a dream, you need to reach with all your strength that dream. And in order to reach this, you must have a self-discipline at 100%. So that's the quality. Yes, it inspired me a lot. But I must say that another figure very important to me is was and is, because he's still alive, and he is a great friend of mine, a great mentor. It was a philosopher who was born in Brescia, in my city, and it was one of the finest thinker in my city. His name is Alberto Bonera, Professor Alberto Bonera. And he is a philosopher, he is a Latinist, so he is a man of culture, 360 degrees of culture. And he is a very close friend of my family. And when he was very young, he used to take dinner with us, and he is very close to the music, to the art. He started to compose, he studied piano, he started to paint. So he is really this kind of bohemian artist, you know. I respect him so much, and I am always very fascinated by him, and he influenced me a lot. He was the first that gave to me a book of philosophy and suggested me to study philosophy. And thanks to him, I understood that philosophy and arts are the same, are looking for the same goal. Different approach of the reality, but looking for the same truth, let's say. So he inspired me. So from one side, I have my family, very rational, very scientific, and with a lot of discipline. But from the other side, I always have this figure of this bohemian, artistic culture man, like Professor Alberto Bonera, who inspired me in this aesthetic way to understand the reality. So understand that what we see is not enough to understand the reality. We must have eyes to understand behind the reality, to understand the truth behind the beauty. So with these two compromises, I grow up, and my art, my music grow up.
Perfect, great. As you have mentioned in an interview, there is a Russian side of you, and you have studied with renowned Russian teachers, Konstantino, Pavlogilov, Boris Pachansky, after age of 16. As many young pianists are willing to know, is studying with such piano masters compulsory for a career, in your opinion?
Well, yes. I must say definitively yes. A great teacher is absolutely necessary to not only to win a competition, but to become a good musician, a good artist. Always in one of my first lessons with Constantin Bourguignon, it was, I was taking a lesson, but it was a lesson with a lot of audience. So at the end of the lesson, one guy in the audience asked to Maestro, what is the secret to become a concert pianist? And he was thinking and said, so we need three things to become a concert pianist. First, a big talent, a big natural talent. Second, study 100% of your life with 100% of your energy, always and always study and practicing. Third, to have an important and deep and a fantastic teacher. With all these three elements, you have one possibility, 200 to become a concert pianist.
Wow.
Yeah. So I remember that I was shocked, but I was always fascinating by the third point. So the teacher is extremely important, because the teacher is a model for you, but it's always a person that you unconsciously you have to surpass. You know, you need to become at least as a master as your teacher is, as virtuoso as your teacher is. But that's not enough. You need to surpass your teacher unconsciously, you know. And that's very important, because to find your teacher, the teacher which is good for you, maybe teacher is good for you is not the same for me. A teacher that works well for your personality, for your charisma, for your soul is absolutely necessary to grow up. Teacher is one of the few person in life that you can trust him always. When you are on stage and you are performing, you can trust yourself. Maybe you can trust yourself. I don't know if you can trust the reviews, the critics. Maybe you can trust your manager. I don't know if you can trust the audience, but you can trust 100% your teacher. So if your teacher say to you, you played well, but you can do better, so you have to sit again on piano and practice. If your teacher say, I am happy for you because you made something important in this concert, you played really well, you can be 100% satisfied. You can trust him immediately. Teacher is not only a teacher, is always a human being. So it helps you to become a better musician, but always grow up as a man, as a human being.
So when do you think will be a good time to study with such a maestro? Is the early the better, or a special period of time?
You know, it depends. In my opinion, there are fantastic teachers for the children, so for the first stage of a career, of education, and great teacher for in order to perfection, to study in-depth music, to study the images of the music. So I think that they are two different.
So you think in different stages there are different specialist teachers?
Absolutely. For example, my main teacher, who is Boris Petroshansky, he's great for the advanced education study, but I don't think for the children. Because he always said to me, I don't teach you to play the piano, how to play the piano. I teach you some ideas. But in order to understand this idea, you must be able to play, to know how to play, and you need some other teacher before. So the right teacher to you is the right teacher in that moment of your life.
There is a large number of competitions nowadays running in the world, especially in countries like in Italy and in other European countries. If I'm right, you were born and grown up and still living in Italy. How do you feel about the environment? Did the environment become more competitive because of so many competitions are building up?
The world is becoming more competitive because the standard of the level is always higher and higher. Now we are living in a very complex world where it's very easy to find pianists, for example, who can play very well Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3, which is maybe one of the most difficult piece of music ever written in the history. So the standard of the level is always becoming high. I don't know if the numbers of the competitions. I must say that I never took part in many competitions. I choose carefully the competition that I wanted to participate in. I must say that competition.
That's a good point. How do you choose the competitions? I mean, how do you select?
First of all, looking about the repertoire. For example, I was always very close to the music by Mozart. Mozart is a great friend of mine. Yes. So it was so logical for me to take part to the Mozart competition in Salzburg. And I always hated this kind of competition where you have to show your virtuosistic way, you have to show how correct you are in front of the music. Competition where in the final round you need to play or Tchaikovsky 1 or Rachmaninoff 3 or Prokofiev 2 and stop it because the music finished where it finished the virtuosism. I always hate that kind of competition. So I looked at the history of the competition and I saw that in the Leeds Piano Competition, Maury Peraya won the competition with Beethoven Piano Concerto. Radu Lupu won with Beethoven Third Piano Concerto. Andras Schiff played probably Brahms piano concerto. So not really virtuosistic piece, you know. And I said, that's the competition that I love. The competition where I express my musicality, my soul behind the notes. Of course, in Rachmaninoff there is music and not only virtuosism. Of course, I don't want to generalize things, but speaking in this way, I choose that competition because the sensibility of that competition was very close to my soul. I proposed, for example, a lot of Mozart during the competition, a lot of Schubert, Beethoven, Chopin. So many composers that can express my intimate soul, not only as how fast I can play an etude or how fast I can play an arpeggio, but where I can make music. So I choose the competition looking into my soul and focusing my inclinations, let's say.
And this seems from outside, jury panels, players, and the audience are the three main components that made a competition. How do you see the relationship between those elements, especially the relationship between the jury panel and the players? Because why I'm asking this is nowadays, because there's a growing number of competitions, many players were trying to find a way to get a result. Some of them trying very hard to please the jury, or maybe some of them trying to do a little bit of research and see how the jury is like, and then they play more or less like close to the taste of the jury. Some of them trying to ignore, they try not to play to the jury, which is hard, but they are trying. How do you think? Which side do you fall into?
I always consider a bullshit when a musician goes to the competition and try not to win the first prize. If you want to, if you choose a competition, if you want to compete with some other great musicians, you are there and you have a goal, and your goal is the first prize. Finish. If you don't want to compete with some other pianists, you need to stay at home or play for an audience in a concert hall, not in a competition. If you go to the competition because you want to win a first prize, that's all. That's the goal. How can we reach this goal? When I was preparing the Leeds Piano Competition during that summer of 2012, I took part many lessons of Boris Petrushansky, and many times during, I don't know, the Brahms Paganini, the slow variation of Brahms Paganini, the Ondine by Gaspard Delannoy, or during the second movement in Beethoven Fifth Piano Concerto, I proposed to him an idea, and he replied to me, "Good idea, Federico, I love it, but leave this idea for the leave this idea when you will win the competitions. Leave this idea for the concert of the winner. Not do this, not make this idea during the competition." Why? Because you are in a competition and you need to play in order to, I don't want to say to please the jury, but jury must choose, and they have to choose you. And you have to play in order to create an harmony in the jury, in order that the jury, the majority of the jury, at the end of the day, will choose you and not another one. So you need to play in order to create a harmony in the judgment of the jury. That's all. After the competition, you can play, after the first prize of a competition, you can play as you want. But in my experience, I always was, and I am a very, I have a lot of fantasy, you know, I am very curious. So I want to put a lot of imagination into my music. I love to discover a new approach, new ways. But is that clever in the competition? I think no. I think that in the competition, you need to put your fantasy, your skills, your quality in a frame, in an armor, stay in a good quality, but play in order to receive the first prize. After the first prize, you can abandon this armor, abandon this frame, and let's understand your fantasy, your imagination, and let's develop in this imagination. The problem now is that many of the pianists who takes part in the competition, they have only this standard level. They have no fantasy. They have nothing to put in armor. They have nothing. They are beautiful pianists, fantastic pianists, very correct, but play in a standard, I must say, very honestly, I must say. So they play in the same in a competition and after the competition. I think that's wrong. I think that you need to play in a competition in a way and play in a concert hall in another way. When you have your first prize in your pocket, you can follow your fantasy. Even always you have a fantasy. That's the point.
Take an example of the Leeds competition. There were 14 juries in 2012. Definitely, as a result of being the winner, the majority of, or most of the jury panel have voted for you. But do you think there were one or two jury members did not vote for you, or they didn't like the way you play? Did you speak to any of them?
Of course. But it was a big scandal during my semi-final. Leeds competition during the last year was the only one competition to have in their repertory a full solo recital. So the semi-final was a full solo recital, 75 minutes by solo music. So I choose Mussorgsky Picture at an Exhibition for sure. I started with Mozart Variation in F major, then Chopin Scherzo number 3, then Scriabin Sonata number 10, and then I finished it with Mussorgsky Picture at an Exhibition. And I started to play, and I was very happy about Scriabin Sonata. I was extremely, very, very happy. And it was a little intermission in between Scriabin and Mussorgsky. When I entered with Mussorgsky, I started in my way, my very Russian way, with full sound. And immediately, when I played the Promenade, in my way, in my interpretation, one member of the jury, I don't want to say the name, but one member of the jury stand up from his chair and started to do this. Like, it was too loud, something like this, for, 5-6 seconds. I didn't know, but my friends in the hall, I was concentrating on the piano, so I didn't notice, but my friends in the hall, after my performance, told me this, and I was shocked. They said, "Oh no, why? Maybe I played too loud." No, I was terribly shocked. But that was a scandal. So I know for sure that just the majority vote for me, but not everybody. Not everybody.
I see. So you knew this after semi-final, is that correct?
As after the semi-final, yes.
And then how did you recover, or how did you digest this emotion to the final? Because you played so well in the final. What did you do to change? It must be a shock, and it must hit you very hard.
I was shocked. I must say that I was aware that in that kind of competition, very important, many interests are in a competition and for a competition winner. So I was there full of enthusiasm and full of the responsibility and the consciousness that I had studied 100% of my possibilities. So yes, I was shocked, but they said, okay, neither God can please to everybody, neither God. So how can please to everybody? I hope that if this jury member didn't like my interpretation, somebody else loved my interpretation, and that's happened at the end. So I took with a lot of philosophy, let's say, okay, that's life. I was happy about my performance, and that's very important.
I see. So your maturity did help you. As when back to you said, you understood the philosophy. So that was the point of what you said. You benefit from gathering all the knowledge. As a growing number of competition, there's a growing number of competitors. Everybody wants to know your secrets of doing so well and playing so well. So how did you prepare for your competitions? Do you practice a lot more before the competition? And do you take a lot, because you mentioned you take a lot of lessons, and so you take a lot of more lessons before the competition?
I don't want to say a lot of more lessons, more than normal. I took many lessons, but I used to took a lot of lessons. A lot of lessons, it means from 4 to 6 hours per month.
Oh, 4 to 6 hours per month.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's quite a lot. That's quite a lot. Yeah, because in my opinion, in my experience, the lessons with Petroshansky, they are like, brainstorming. You came into a tornado. So after 2 hours of lesson, yesterday I made a lesson via Skype. Now it's not lessons, it's like meetings, let's say, just exchanging ideas. He always remained my teacher for all my life, but it's just changing ideas. But yesterday, for example, it was another vertigo. You are into a vertigo, such an incredible amount of idea, and you need time to calm down, to reflect on this idea, and to put this idea from the abstract to the practical. And you need time. So 4 to 6 hours per month, in my opinion, with my teacher is more than enough. More than enough. And this competition took part at the end of August. And at the beginning of summer, beginning of June 2012, I had a big a sort of tragedy in my life, in my private life. And I was shocked, but I was so depressed. Happened in June. Only the work, only the music saved me. So I decided, okay, I have a competition. I have something very responsible to make. I need to close the door of my practice room, close the door of my home. I don't need to see anybody. I don't want to see the world. My world now is me, my food, my water, and my music. And all the summer, all the 3 months, because before the competition, I went to my house on Garda Lake, and I was there alone, absolutely alone. Sometimes my grandmother came to have dinner with me, but then I was alone. I practicing all my time.
During that time, when you were with yourself, when you're practicing a lot, did you feel the pressure of preparing the competition, or you were more like exploring, or?
The responsibility, I felt the responsibility to arrive in Leeds with the consciousness to have done the 100% that it was in my possibility, the 100%, not the 99%, the 100%. So I wanted to arrive, the competition started the 24th of August, I still remember. So my goal is to arrive on the 23rd of August with the consciousness to have done 100%. But I will tell you more. That was just my responsibility, just matter of responsibility, because I had no, well, I will tell you, you will understand. When on the 22nd and 21st of August, I returned home in Brescia with my parents. We prepared together my luggage. Competition, the Leeds competition was very long, 3 weeks. The 3 weeks for all the 4 rounds. And I remember when I had to choose with my mommy how many shirts, concert shirts, I had to put in my luggage. And my mommy said, okay, you need 4, because 4 rounds, if you arrive in the final, 4 rounds, so 4 shirts. But we look each other and say, let's try with 2. And then let's see what's happened, you know? So that was my kind of mentality. You know, I wanted to arrive in Leeds with the consciousness to have done 100%, but let's see how it develops with not so much ambitious, not so much.
That
Yeah.
I
So
see.
I took to Leeds. That's an example, but it's a state of mind. I took to Leeds 2 shirts, and then I had to make the machine.
Right. Oh, wow. Fabulous. Another question about when you practice, because I guess many pianists, we do experience practicing a lot, I mean, alone, and sometimes it's easy to get struggle with some specific detail. Do you record yourself when you practice alone, or most of the time do you do it most of the time?
All of the time. All of the time.
All of the time.
I have more recording on my iPhone than files.
I see, I get it. Yeah.
Emails, than
And then
photos.
if you're not happy with 1 or 2 phrases, and then do you keep doing it for a few hours until you are happy, until you are satisfied?
Well, an artist cannot be satisfied 100%. So you record yourself only in order to understand where you can improve. But you cannot be satisfied 100%. Maybe I must say, maybe that 3, 4 times in my life, I was satisfied about my interpretation and my playing. Let's say 99% satisfied. I record, I can hear the line, I can hear the melody, the development of the melody, and I immediately sit back on the piano and I continue to practice. Then I record again and start again, sit again on the piano and focusing on the details or phrasing, these kind of things. But recording is necessary also because after 2 or 3 days, you can come back to recording and hear it again. Okay, so now it's Monday, okay? And tonight, for example, if I want to practice my Shostakovich sonata and my next project, I can hear again the recording that I made on Friday, because now I have a refreshed mind, in order to understand all the mistakes that I made on Friday. Recording is crucial to understand better,
right,
all the mistakes that you made in music.
And when you record yourself, do you record a whole piece through, or you record like just say one passage?
And
1 minute and a half, 3 minutes. Yes. Sometimes happen that I used to record an entire movement, for example, in order to understand all the balance, all the climax, the correlation between tempi, etc. But that's very rare.
Right. Now, this is a very useful and very valuable knowledge for all the pianists, and you will benefit a lot from that. So thank you very much for sharing this with us. Okay, now let's talk about after winning. How does it feel to be a Leeds winner? Did it change your lifestyle completely? Let's say, was your lifestyle before and what was your lifestyle after?
Lifestyle, I don't know. I grew up in a family, actually, I must say, with one big quality, the humility. I tell you this story. My mommy was born in a little village in the mountain near Brescia, little villages. And they were all working in a farm. They were all farmer, no specific educational, no specific studies. So when my mommy decided to study biology, it was a scandal in the town, a scandal, because how can you pretend to study biology? You are living in a small village of north of Italy, so you want to go to Milan, a metropolitan city. And when he made his big diploma in biology, he returned home in this little town. Just after the diploma, he took the degree, he took the train, he returned home and said to his mother, my grandmother, "Mommy, it went well. We are speaking in a time without internet, without phones, so another reality. So, Mommy, I am extremely happy." She said, "I reached my goal. I am extremely happy." And my grandmother say, okay, I am very happy for you. I am very proud of you. Now came to me to the land to help me with the grapefruit or something like this, doing something in the farm. So help me to work. So that's kind of mentality in my family influenced me a lot. I made something important, but I remain always Federico, always myself, with my passion, with my humility. A humble person. I'll always remain that. I made something important, and when I arrived home after the Leeds competition, my mommy said to me, Federico, I am so proud of you. He gave me a hug, and she asked me, what do you want to eat? Gnocchi or pasta? So this kind of mentality, you know, not so special. My grandparents, never thought that they had a new Arturo Benedetti Michelangeli in the house. Never. Just very simple, you know, simple person. And I am this kind of person. So I felt so much responsibility after the Leeds piano competition. When I won, the chairman of the piano competition, Dame Fanny Waterman, came to me just after the gala, the winning gala, and she told me, I still remember clearly, Federico, until now, your judgment was the jury panel. From now to the end of your life, your judgment is not the jury panel, but is God. So now you are doing something more and more responsible, with more and more pressure. And it took a lot of time for me, a lot of time to understand this kind of change in my life. When I won the competition was September. My first concert after the competition was next April. So after 7 or 8 months, because I wanted to stay home, to relax, to calm down, to understand this new step, new chapter in my life, study new repertoire, build my personality to be strong on stage for this new chapter of my life.
After you win, you will be constantly being compared with, no matter you want or not, but the audience would compare you with Michelangelo or other fantastic pianists or the previous winners, maybe Alexiev and etc. Does it give you some pressure when you're on the stage?
Yeah, pressure, of course, pressure and responsibility. And I must say more responsibility because you have a name to preserve. You are a Leeds competition winner. So when you make your Concertgebouw debut, for example, you are there because jury members vote for you. And vote for you, it means that they trust me. They trust my talent. They trust my cleverness. They trust my strength in order to be up to the expectation. Be up to the expectation. So more responsibility, more pressure, more, yes.
Now, a few last questions. Due to the COVID-19, people started to experiencing the new ways of sharing music, especially online. And many people started to do online concerts, or now many competitions are changing to online competitions. Have you experienced online musical activities? Compared with the traditional way of communicating with the audience, how do you feel about the new way?
The crisis is not limit, but is opportunity. So it's very wise to transform a crisis, a problem, into an opportunity. So even this very big crisis of the COVID-19, even in this moment, we can create some opportunities. And I do believe that together with the live event that must continue, I do believe that streaming, some online possibility should be explored.
Stay Home International Piano Competition is doing a fantastic job to provide what you said, the opportunities for their candidates. For those candidates who is participating, do you have some advice or something to say to them?
So first of all, take this this moment and take this goal, take this competition very seriously. I must say that's the first advice, the first tip. Not as a sport, not as a game, not, okay, I will play and then let's see what's happened. Okay, let's see what's happened, but you must arrive with the consciousness to have done the 100% that you could. So take it very seriously. Take it very seriously. Music is a mission. Music is a state of mind, is a philosophy, and our life is made by a crescendo, a diminuendo, a staccato, fortissimo, pianissimo. They are all signs, and they are all our lives. We can live or die for a crescendo, you know, these kind of things. So take very seriously. Your approach to the music must be always very seriously, you know. And I do believe that this is something that the jury can appreciate. And then studied a lot, night and day, read a lot. The few days before a competition are extremely important, because you must arrive in a competition with the physical and psychological shape at their best. So be sure to be surrounded by all the possible beauty that you have. So listen to the music, stay in front of a sunshine, walk in the middle of the nature, read a beautiful book, a beautiful essay. So be surrounded by the beauty, because all this beauty can help your performance in the competition. And the last advice is take in mind this sentence by Paulo Coelho from his fantastic, genial book, The Alchemist. When you dream something with all your heart, all the universe conspired in order that you will reach this dream. So be sure that if you dream something with all your heart, be sure that all the universe, all the nature, all your relationship will be involved in your dream. And that's really beautiful, because you are not alone. You are not alone in a competition. You are not alone in front of the music, but you feel supported. You feel the support of all the universe, because your dream is extremely big. So have a big dream, and be supported by all this beauty, be surrounded by all this beauty, and study a lot. Studied a lot.
Okay, last question. What does music mean to you? What makes you feel the music is special compared with other type of arts or subject?
I strongly believe that the classical music is a shelter where you can make the experience of something else. In the classical music, you can feel and you can have the experience of the divine and of the transcendent. With the classical music, you have the experience of an open soul that can be illuminated by the beauty and by the truth. Music for me is exactly this. The music can open my soul, can create questions into my mind, and the beauty and the truth of the music can illuminate my soul. So when I stand up from the piano, I am a better person. And when I discover a new idea, a new interpretation, I am a better person. And if I am a better person, the world is a better place. So that's the point of the music. That's the point of the art, of the true and real art. And that's the point of the the concert. You know, an audience must go out from a concert hall with their opened soul, feeling their soul opened, but illuminated, covered with the beauty of the music, with the truth of the music. That's the point. They will be a better person, a better people, and the world will be a better place.
Thank you very much, Federico, today for taking your time. I wish you all the best. Thank you.